Tune in and also learn about the U-Juice to build your immunities and promote overall great health. Dr. Levette on the Street 919 FM this and every Friday from 5:05 p.m. to 5:35 p.m. It's time that you live.
Tune into the Street 91.9 FM
every Sunday from 10:05 a.m. to 11 a.m.
for the Repairing of the Breach radio program with me, Bishop Showinau Thomas.
The scripture says, "And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places.
Thou shalt raise up the foundation of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairers of the breach, the restorers of the paths to dwell in."
Don't miss it. Repairing the Breach radio program with Bishop Sherwin R. Thomas on the Street 919 FM every Sunday from 10:05 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Good about I'm looking like it real bad.
Are you ready for that boat experience again? The Sea Champion and the Embassy say, book with us for that unforgettable boat ride experience. Sea Champion leaving from King's Wharf, San Fernando, and the Embassy leaving from Breakfast Shed, Port of Spain, or Westside Trinidad. For more information, call 399-5959 to 814723 or email us at coralvisiontT@gmail.com. Book now and reserve your cruise.
Hey, that boat I look like it's all wet.
Hot Off the Press presents Aisha Wells' birthday bash. Come celebrate with Aisha on board the Embassy on August 13th. Boarding at the Hyatt Waterfront from 6:30 p.m. sharp. Featuring an all-star DJ cast. We're gonna have a good time celebrating with Aisha.
You're on board. We're talking about my birthday bash.
For tickets and more information, call Robert at 333-2181. Olu at 730-3665.
It's my birthday. That's what we're talking about. Happy birthday to you.
Broadcasting from Trinidad to the world. The Street 919FM.com.
News from the Street 919FM.com. Here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. I am Vanessa Thomas with the 4 o'clock news on the Street 919 FM and online Facebook and YouTube on Iwer TV. In the headlines, WASA assures there is a sabotage plan in place following fake reports of no water for citizens over the weekend. 718 vehicles stolen in 6 months. Aqua, the preferred choice. Sea bathers in danger due to lifeguard shortages, and internationally 4 people critically injured by lightning near the White House. And now the news in detail. Public Utilities Minister Marvin Gonzalez says there is a contingency plan in place should any of WASA's infrastructure fall victim to sabotage. The minister's statements came after a social media message and voice note suggested that there could be a nationwide shutdown of the country's water supply over the weekend and into early next week in response to planned restructuring at the water company. The voice note, featuring a male voice, alleged that a senior WASA manager had warned of the shutdown and also claimed the representing union ordered the nationwide shutdown. However, in a release, WASA said that the message was fake news and should be disregarded. WASA encouraged its customers and the public to rely on communication issued only by the authority. Minister Gonzalez, meanwhile, said he was not too worried. 718 vehicles were reportedly stolen for the year thus far. The vehicle of choice by car thieves, Aqua. This was revealed by Inspector Lloyd Lazarus of the Stolen Vehicles Unit at a media conference on Thursday, who said the robberies are often at gunpoint. Of the 718 stolen vehicles, at least 268 were recovered, which is close to 50%. The other types of cars most often targeted by thieves were listed as Nissan AD wagons, Nissan B14s, and Toyota Fielders. The public is being urged to safeguard their vehicles by not leaving them unattended with the keys in the ignition or engine running, and by etching the vehicle number on the window or at a secret spot inside. A shortage of lifeguards at the nation's beaches is causing danger to sea bathers. This following the recent drowning of father of two, Otis Morrison, who went into the water to save an 11-year-old girl at the Clifton Hill Beach in Point Fortin. President of the Lifeguard Branch of the National Union of Government and Federated Workers, Augustus Sylvester, says there are simply not enough registered lifeguards to accommodate beaches across the island. Sylvester said the lifeguard service went to the Ministry of National Security in 2015 and no attention was and is being paid to the lifeguard service. He added that everything that could go wrong in the lifeguard service has been going wrong. Sylvester said with less than 100 lifeguards currently in operation, it will take almost twice the amount to adequately staff lifeguard posts across the country. He added that the public has now been forced to pay the price for the personnel problem plaguing the service. Finally, on the international scene, 4 people have been critically injured after being struck by lightning near the White House. The 2 men and 2 women were in Lafayette Park in Washington, D.C. during a violent storm when they were struck down. The lightning struck the 4 near a tree by the fence that surrounds the White House complex on Thursday evening. The D.C. Fire Department said all 4 were suffering from critical, life-threatening injuries. Officials have yet to establish what the victims were doing before the lightning strike. The U.S. National Weather Service had issued a thunderstorm warning for the area on Thursday evening. And that was the 4 o'clock news on the Street 919 FM and online, Facebook and YouTube on Iwer TV. Recapping the headlines, WASA assures there is a sabotage plan in place following fake reports of no water for citizens over the weekend. 718 vehicles stolen in 6 months, Aqua the preferred choice. Sea bathers in danger due to lifeguard shortages, and internationally 4 people critically injured by lightning near the White House. Do enjoy your afternoon and continue to be safe. I am Vanessa Thomas. Miss Aisha Wells, the Queen of Talk. She's up next.
News from the street. 919fm.com. News from the street. 919fm.com.
People you think is your friend, them only there cause you have money to spend. And some of them just talk the most, like they know it all. But when your head hot and can't see your way, who you just call? I go drink water and mind my business. Mind my business. Drink water and mind my business. I go drink water and mind my business. Mind my business. Drink water and mind my business. Tick 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 and burn. Tick 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 and burn. All eyes on you. Wine and hold it. Twist your waist like wine and fold it. Bubble and roll it. Them girl them not like you. Wine and roll it. Twist your waist like wine and fold it. Bubble and roll it. My girl, just show off yourself. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Jump on a stranger, wine on a friend. Good on and good on and. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Jump on a stranger, wine on a friend. Good on and good on and. Keep them shoes off. Jump on the gum, these blues off. Bashment them, girl, you is a boss. Too hot, cool off. You broke this, too off. Girl, you're full of party sauce. On the IG, you always trend. Perfect, girl, you always 10. And you a model, me artist friend. And you a burn up the parties, them. So, girl, tick, 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 and burn. Tick, 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 and burn. Tick, 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 and burn. All eyes on you. Wine and hold it. Twist your waist like wine and fold it. Bubble and roll it. Them girl, them not like you. Wine and roll it. Twist your waist like wine and fold it. Bubble and roll it. My girl, just show off yourself. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Jump on a stranger, wine on a friend. Good on and good on and. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Jump on a stranger, wine on a friend. Good on and good on and. No doubt, come back. Yes, girl, love that. Bashment time, girl, you is a boss. Roll that, done that. Feel this, lumber. Girl, you're full of party sauce. Competition, you always shell. Girl, you're healthy, you always well. I know you ring the hardest bell. And you are one of the parties, them. So, girl, tick, 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 and burn. Tick, 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 and burn. Tick, 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 and burn. All eyes on you. Wine and hold it. Twist your waist like wine and fold it. Bubble and roll it. Them girl, them not like you. Wine and roll it. Twist your waist like wine and fold it. Bubble and roll it. My girl, just show off yourself. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Jump on a stranger, wine on a friend. Good on and good on and. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Good on and good on and good on and bend. Jump on a stranger, wine on a friend. Good on and good on and.
The party nice again, lad. Brand new soca order. Yeah. Dangerous, dangerous. Anytime you come, you know me. Dangerous, dangerous. Super, super, all of fantastic. SB, all the notions. Yeah. When me come in, you put me coffee, mash it up. Sing me soca song and just rip it up. Uptown, downtown. Anyway, me go, me just shut it down. And when me come in, you put me coffee, mash it up. Pull the microphone and just rip it up. Uptown, downtown. Anyway, me go, me just shut it down. I come in at your party, I come to party. Me never come to fight, no karate. This is not a place for Jackie Chan and Jet Li. No violence while making this movie. Look how the party sweet, party ram. This is not no place for no pam pam pam. Don't bring no knife and don't bring no gun. Music are the only weapon. Hey, when me come in, you wet me coffee, mash it up. Hold the microphone and just rip it up. Uptown, downtown. And then when me go, me just shell it down. And when me come in, you wet me coffee, mash it up. See me so cartoon and just rip it up. Uptown, downtown. And then when me go, me just shell it down. Hey, hey. Pick up all my soca and them. Boy, yo. Look back and I'll start. I got a real car and I'll smash up every single quarter. Spin the sample and the river comes to Paris. They go, what am I do? What am I trying to get? Something like a Rio. I will go right down to zero. Come back up like a hero. We make the people them jump up, jump up. We make the people them dance. new soca order. Go tell the whole of your social media. No weapon from against I shall prosper. Oh yeah, yeah. This is the new soca order. Go tell the whole of your social media. No weapon from against me shall prosper. Oh yeah, yeah. When they come in, you can take off your mash it up. Hold the microphone and just rip it up. Tongue. And the way me go, me just shut it down. I want to hold my microphone, make up your mash it up. Sing this so cartoon and just rip it up. Tongue. And the way me go, me just shut it down. Oh, you soca order. Don't cross the border. Oh, yeah. New soca order. Hey, boys. Oh God, it come freedom from lockdown. Freedom from lockdown. Got we trouble again. Now we back out on the road. Trouble again. Got we to put on the cross. Trouble again. Tonight I'm coming home. Trouble again. With my friends up on the road. Trouble again. Anywhere I want to know. Anywhere that have a truck. Anywhere that have a job. Anywhere that have a van. Anywhere and anytime. Plenty woman in the line. Once you jam in with them. Don't force me now to lie to you. And don't worry, babe, I'll call you. I didn't bring no quarantine. You ain't got me on no scene. Man can't survive like this. That's the whole thing was pressure. That thing was pleasure. Me children go right in front of me. Like a gun that's smoking. Winchester reloading. Once it up, we down, yeah, we dead. Trouble again. Now we back out on the road. Trouble again. Can't wait to put on me clothes. Trouble again. Tonight I'm coming home. Trouble again. With my friends, I'm on the road. Anywhere I want to know. Anywhere that have a truck. Anywhere that have a job. Anywhere that have a van. Anywhere and anytime. Plenty woman in the line.
right, good looking people. I'm in the building. Let me start off by saying a very special good afternoon to you, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. That's right, Trinidad and Tobago. You see how I stressed on the and Tobago part? It's because it's Trinidad and Tobago. Let me say a very special good afternoon to those of you locking us down right now on YouTube. Those of you on YouTube already, big up your whole self. I'm talking about Cheryl M., Trevor, David has an unusual name, Yvette, Diane, Lorna, Rudy Trudy, Patty, Terrence Cummings, and to Michelle Superwoman. I know she's somewhere in the background. I'm seeing Neil Francois just logging in. Good afternoon to Same Dude 1976. I think he is a 79. 1 out of the 2. Same Dude, big up yourself same way. And to those of you locking us down right now on our Facebook page. Facebookers, how all you going? Today, while be it a short show, is a hot show. So I urge you to get in the people business real quick and let we discuss this thing. So it was day before yesterday. A message circulated on social media telling Trinidad and Tobago to brace itself for protest action by one Water and Sewerage Authority. Following the protest action, hold on, let me get the thing loaded up here, loading up the thing here. I'm going to bring the facts for all you. Hold on, let me bring it one time. So following the message on social media yesterday, good-looking people, information reached out on social media of a voice note that someone would have confirmed such to be true. Now I have to go back and look to see who the hell sent me that voice note now. So much people that send me thing. Hold on, let me go back here looking for the voice note. I wonder if there is it here. Let me see. Alright, yes, this is it.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I just got
Alright, yes, let me lose it. And that voice sound very familiar too, I just can't put my finger on it just yet. So a voice note circulated that sent Trinidad and Tobago in a panic. Take a listen to this voice note.
Suddenly stop, you pass a bill, my friend, you want it, money ain't no problem. My friend, don't know me, money ain't no problem.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just got off the phone with a good friend of mine. He's a senior manager at WASA. He said that information is true. From 10 a.m. tomorrow, the union is calling for the total shutdown. So from 10 o'clock tomorrow, there's going to be pandemonium. Stock up on water. Stock up on, just start filling. Because they don't expect any water for the weekend or into sometime next week. He said the union is doing this in bad faith because the government is going to come down hard, but they don't care. So guys, yes, just stock up on water and so on, please. All right? The information is credible. Bye.
Well, for those of us who took the information to be credible or not, guess what? We already stocked up on water because we don't get a constant supply. Facts. We've been stocking up on water because even though we are paying customers of WASA, water sometimes is few and far apart. Am I lying? So while there is information circulating that WASA is about to take the water, WASA all now we do our water. Well, it started last year or what? This protest action started last year or something because since last year summer we having problems to get water. Make it make sense. How could you take away a commodity that we don't get? Some of we have resulted into using rainwater. We full in water by the bucket, by the drum. Ease me up with it now. And today I heard an interview from one of the union members who was regurgitating similar. Well, you watch out. Protest action, D-Day, Doom Day, we come in, the usual suspects. About to get on and mash up the place, they can't send home nobody, they're riling up and they're raising up. But if we want to really move to first world status, one thing we must get right is the water situation. It never dawns on me how the hell a little island surrounded by water could not have water. That does, I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but it doesn't make any sense to me. And it must start somewhere. I sympathize with the workers. I do. I really, really sympathize with you. And I hope to God that things settle itself. You know, it's not an easy time for anybody to lose their jobs. It is absolutely not. And we hope that, you know, all sense prevails and you guys, if you have to go home, is given a proper visa package, and when you get your money, invest, save some, make sure that you're cheap, make sure and put it into something that can generate revenue for yourself and your family. But we gotta get water. We gotta get water. In the middle of a pandemic, some of we was calling radio, complaining that it ain't no water. It has to start somewhere. And to those members of the union that is already on a shutdown spree, better luck next time. The country don't get water, so to take away from nothing leaves nothing, leaves nothing. The lines are open. We're going straight to them. What's your thought? Did you get this voice note? What was your thoughts when you heard it? Good afternoon to Carlton Warwick. He says, Aisha, I am in Belmont Valley Road and all now no water. Since last year, we're going through this. Apparently, them shut down since last year. The lines are open.
To a bed in the hospital, yeah. And we can't hear a word from Health Minister Kamal. Whoa. Black dirty water we have to drink. Water say clean, but the smell is stink. And my friend, money ain't no problem. My friend, shouting, money ain't no problem. Whoa.
Let's go, caller, you live.
Good afternoon, Aisha. Aisha.
Anderson Wilson, I'm hearing you.
Aisha, there's a fact that you don't know the water. Why want the union leaders to do? You see all them little boy and them, Aisha, them is telling them? And them young ladies were only taking 10,000 for work. Yeah, all the union leaders. All you. I hear this is 20 now. To get any cooperation, deal with that first polish, I don't know anything. This is that thing is forced or need to be getting into, you know. All them ladies, oh God, some of the mother and father, the vote fines, the vote for the PNM all the years. Forget Anderson Wilson now. But you must have right around here by me. We have $10,000 to work in the corporation and put the same corporation and you must have 10,000 here and some pay 15.
Well, if you, Anderson, if anybody on the beatum find $10,000 to pay to get in Wassa, I suggest they go back by whoever they pay the money and get back the little pittance and invest it in a parlor.
Aisha, this thing's so sad.
How people paying money to get into a government institution? Make it make sense to me, Anderson.
All right, Aisha, because the union leaders have 10 bits. 10 by 10 and 100. They did a 15,000 now. You just feel like a shock. somebody go call in and just not something.
So you mean to tell me that they are paying to get into government institutions to work?
Most of them, you tell them about any corporation. Some of them are DMP channels, some of them.
Why does we really hearing, boy?
The union leaders have 10. I know I telling you that they start call names and all.
Well, I would like you to give those names. I would love you to give those names to McDonald Jacob. It's a crime, Anderson.
You telling me? That's what I'm going to do. You one of them person here. The so good boy, you're trying to throw salt in me, right? You're trying to throw sand in me, right? God boy, Anderson, don't talk about that now. That done gone, right? But nevertheless, Aisha, I'm calling all the union leaders, all the nastiness who get for the perks and money from everybody pay. Only 150 and 100 coming out, everybody paying $60 and whatnot and whatnot. I want to have 10 picks. 10 picks. The councillors have 6. Every year they get them picks and them I believe.
Are you saying, 1 minute Anderson, are you saying councillors are also charging persons money to get in the corporation?
Councillors telling it too.
Anderson, what you telling me, boy?
Aisha, God, man, Aisha, that man is wrong, you know. I can tell him from high up, from straight low down, you know. That's nothing me know, you know. Only thing me must do is the date when guys coming after the that's all our guys I end up. Don't watch me normal, Aisha. I mean, this is sad. I mean, we have citizens of this country, we got to go in power. I mean, if a young man have all his credential and qualification to get in any government job, and they have room, they should be hired. I don't know if this money thing coming in, and I will see here today. And I was trying to call names too. All the union leaders, they all over stopping. All over stopping. Some of them being bad. Some of them can't let out properly. All of them can't go to the toilet properly. All of them reach 80, 70 something. All of them still fighting to be union leaders. All of them not for country. None of them for country. None of them union leaders. And it's a sad day in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what they're telling them. Look up water. So look up the water in the beach now. Look up the water in the beach. All the look up the water in the beach. All the children people just shut down by looking up water. Some of them don't do nothing when all they go to work chair. And some people understand to talk about all here. All they know different from the union leaders and them. But my take is, see that 10,000, all they is not a 50 now. One all they go get locked up. If you let them make money, you know. One all they go get locked up.
Thank you, Anderson. So, one of the police officers last week, and I'm not straying, I'm just drawing a point, found 2 men in an uncompromising situation in a car in central Trinidad. I think they say it was Price Plaza. And instead of charging them for indecent exposure or sodomy, he decided that he was going to take a bribe, $5,000, in order not to lock them up. The article says one of the men took him to an ATM, withdrew $2,500, gave it to him, on the premise that the other $2,500 would be paid at a later date. The men put on their clothes, so probably finished having a good time, put on their clothes and went to the nearest police station and reported the officer. According to the article, a sting operation was set up for the men to pay the officer the balance of the $2,500 owed to him. And when he went to pick up the money from the men, he was arrested and charged. He's now before the court for corruptly receiving monies. Having said that, nothing surprises me now when I hear about people paying to get into government service, people paying to get into WASA or the corporations, 10,000. Where people on the beat I'm getting 10,000 to pay to get into WASA and to corporations? But what I just be hearing and true? Okay, so I'm assuming, according to Anderson, the union leaders have a certain amount of picks or names to get into these state entities. And they selling the names. 10,000 a name. According to Anderson, if they had 10 names and they sell the 10,000, 100,000, but this thing, what Trini's way all you ain't gonna do again, boy? What all you ain't gonna do again? This is sickening. So now everybody going home. Well, you lost your 10,000. Well, I can't say you lost it because you may have been working and getting a salary. Only if you had to give them a portion of your salary too, I don't know. Maybe you need to call back Anderson and clear that up. But nothing surprises me in this country anymore. All you will sell all your soul for money. Caller, you live?
Hi, good afternoon, Aisha.
How you doing, darling?
Very, very good. And you know, it's a strong thing. Anderson brought about something that he probably knew. He knows more than I. And one of the things I'm sure is that, yes, in Wassa, you need to go to the union. I'm not talking from here, but from, you know, just hypothetically.
This is something you're aware of.
This is something that's a fact. That
okay.
You go to the union. And you know what very terrible about it? The corruptive part, Anderson probably know more than me. But Aisha, that's it. And these things, when you see crime increases in a country, all these little things where people now, you know, when you look at payment for people like, the commissioner spoke about it. People are going to court. You know what? Hire two fellas. And all these things happen in our country, you know. And it's a bigger conversation with the justice system. But today, you want to deal with Wassa. They sit there and encourage people to come, especially under the UNC, the People's Partnership, which was the UNC, and crowd up the whole of Wassa. Crowd up the... Aisha, I work in a company. One of the things I used to check is whether the company doing good. So it makes my work, I feel more prudent and, you know, proud that I work in this company and doing well. You work in a company and you're hearing showing about the company that, listen, anything could happen. And now you have a a real 2x4 union going to stand up for what cause? What is the cause? Just for union dues? What was I going to stand up for today? When you have a company doing well, it's making it profit. Now, it coincides with prudent management. And that's why I'm telling people, keep an eye on the UNC. UNC came in office in 2010 and left our country in a mess. And not only that, unapologetic. And they're waiting there with the same leader, the same kind of policy direction to come back. And I'm not talking about based on the leadership we have now, where we go into the parliament and telling you, hey, let us do this. Let us manage the country in a way that all it could get better returns for the citizens. Starting with Wassa. They dealt with Petrotrin. And only know once you get returns on these companies, Aisha, you could get better things in the service sector. And you could increase employment, long-term employment. So the unions, listen, any which way the government could deal with the unions right now. I have no respect for unions. Unions don't do anything to the benefit of our country. I'm telling you that, except for union dues. And not only that, they have a problem when it's time for voting to remove themselves. They always want to say that. You give Watson Duke a chance. Watson could have spent almost 20-something years with a union. That's how they stop. Never want to move. And I have no respect for unions run by African men. That is my concern. They don't lift nothing. Not one thing at all. So let me end. Wassa needs restructuring. And I want to tell the guys and they, don't listen to your union. Listen to the negotiation to give you your severance. You could end up with a lot of money in the short term. Deal with it, then reapply for your work. And listen, try to start a business or something. Try to form a company that you can get back proper work in Wassa under prudent management. But for now, I'm telling people, don't listen to that fly-by-night union. I know I'm telling you. All the best. And you know more than me. Take care.
Imagine that. Let's take this one. I have some voice notes to play. Caller, you live.
Hi, good afternoon, Aisha. Well, how are you going?
I'm good, darling. How are you?
Hi, cool, Aisha. Aisha, it has been known that my mother and father working there about push you here and push you here in all utilities. Right? Me and you, I said there are no family, no mother and father to push we, and no public servant to push we here, and took we here, and push we there, and took we so, and push we so, unqualified and unskilled. Trinidad reached out with the voicemail with our guy first, the voicemail. He ain't sound convincing to anyway. Right? And a 3-day cycle. The reason why Trinidad reached this point, Aisha Wells, with all the public utilities, overstaffed, heavily subsidized, running to bus, literally bus, is it because of that same curry favor? Took me outside woman here, took me outside man here, took you child here, took. So I say they right, take our money, TSTT as well. And now as we reach our crossroads now in Trinidad now, right, oil prices, gas prices looking good, we don't know for probably a little while. But we can't continue running a deficit budget because we gotta look down the road for the children. We ended up in problems now where salaries and wages get eaten up all the cash, eaten up the whole budget. So who created that problem? And when the government changed, and next government took my man, so took my on a woman, so took the child, so took, and police took so and took so. And that's not problem. The problem is curry favor, corruption, familyism, friendism, all the isms and schisms. And this is what Dr. Rowley and I deal with. Boy, Dr. Rowley, one thing I can tell you, boy, why to be happy, boy. People fight up with their politics and go and do what they do and live their life. Thanks, Aisha.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Aisha, good afternoon to you. Aisha, sodomy is not against the law anymore. Once you reach the age of consent, I think over the age of 18, they abandon the law. You understand? So probably the people get frightened. One of them man must see their wife. So that is why he must see they don't make out scene when the police catch them now by the casino. And one man must see, openly gay maybe. That is why. You understand? And they get frightened to go and pay their money. The police their money. And some of them police in Trinidad, Aisha, they like too much damn bubble. You need to kick them out of the police service. Half of the police service like they like bubble.
So I never knew sodomy was against the law where I live in. Maybe because I need to know. Caller, you live?
Hi, good evening.
How you doing, darling?
Fine, thank you. What Anderson saying is true.
It is true.
True.
Let me hear.
True. What Anderson says is true. You used to pay money to get into water.
Oh, God. So you mean to tell me to get a walk, I had to get a loan first? To pay for the walk? Caller, you live?
Yeah, Aisha.
Oi, uncle.
I want to fire joke first. And everybody who pay and they get a chance talk, let them talk. I help clean up the country and lock up all of them. We got to save money. We got to save a lot of money, government. Let them make jail and pay the fellas and them who talk good money. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me go, you live.
Aisha.
Yes.
Lock them up.
Oh, God.
And I studying where they getting 125. How much to get a job? If I pay to get a job, I buy coconut and make Solomon sugar cake and thing until I go make a better profit. The last time man telling me coconut and sugar cake, they say sugar cake. But people coming from Venezuela and making all kinds of things and selling by the road and making money. So why you can't make coconut and sugar cake, Solomon sugar cake and sell by the road? And you make some money, then I meant and I forget must be about $3 for one retail. So all they buying work by water, all they want that jail, all they sell. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you so much. All you see why crime can done? Men had to rob and thief in order to pay to get work in this place. Caller, you live?
Now, Aisha.
Yes?
The young men and them. Now, I could tell you about one. One father used to work here and deck, and he was electrocuted on some post. And the father didn't have some money for them, so he was able to pay. The other one mother does do business. Just for 1 sec. Oh, Jesus, I appreciate that. Anyhow, Aisha?
Yes?
What I'm telling you here, I wonder, whatever the leader named Lambert?
Lambert.
And that one is called Anisette.
Anisette, interesting. Who are these two guys?
Yeah, this thing with what, whereby that call what Sinjuk means. I don't know define now what Sinjuk. Or what Sinjuk got nothing to do with that. He talking about the PSA, yeah. He talking about something. He talking about that much Sinjuk was there. He talking about we know who does collect the money. And if the name had called Aisha, the name would be the first. I would have called the name first here. I just actually a union leader named Lambert. I want to ask him. Aisha, the other one in Malaba business is here, yes. The family all kind of land in Santa Cruz. The father living foreign. You have a money family. So they need nothing but you to pay 10,000 when your mother gain 10,000. They can always repay. Aisha, what I'm telling you here, me feeling for my voice to be heard. Time these things stop, Aisha.
Where are these poor people children?
My son was 18. My son was 18. And he joined the police, the army, the Coast Guard. And he wanted to go anywhere in corporation, they had to take him. The councillor had to take him. The MP, whoever, the other section union, they had to take them. But Aisha, you complain and get in. If you complain, I just get so much of this side of MP. You keep the people about it understand because the raising money.
Stay one place, Anderson. We're barely hearing you.
You hear me now?
Yes, we're hearing you now. So
yeah, the money is 15.
It's not 15 again? It's not 10 again, it's 15 now?
No, it's 15. And somebody me call them 20. The woman talk about it and you Aisha.
20,000 for
what fellas some beat them getting that money? What fellas some pass the shit?
But how they gain that money?
But I like the 10 from Cocorite. I like the 10 from Cocorite. And those on the highway, Ministry of Works and Highway Division, who embed, who they say embed, and when I with the minister, they say Heinz and them, he sent them to 11 fellas what show the exploit and the payroll, the jealousy of the payroll in the ministry, who see more the time, but the one that come and the one that Aisha, so the show the exploit and the jealousy. Now, I get a report from a man working at 27 years. 27 years service in the Ministry of Works, you know. And he said, I understand them for some concrete coming up on the highway, they're signing, they're going back home, and wherever they're saying that, embeds send them. So I don't mind Aisha that the MP is on them and talk to the good, the bad, and the ugly. But my father always brought us up, so don't discriminate nobody. You talk to the good, the bad, the ugly, the pocketer, the thief, everybody, you speak to everybody. And if you can make them be better, you can help them be better. I'm saying this is serious, Aisha. You know, a next step went down, and I was getting like I'm telling you, there was no more corpo. In the corporation, you must say, and some man was spending them, some was man spending them. And there was no more money that have gone up for them. They were sitting on the table. All of them permanent now, Aisha, from Down University. All of them permanent now. So it's I'm from Cocorite alone, I'm from Val, is a whole portion of fellas from the West. I have nothing against them, I can't get to the corporation. Or I like them, they didn't pay. I sent the gun, pull a gun unless I'm not nobody table, you know. But that cool, them didn't pay. But that those who paying from all over Aisha, just thinking, watch me, only place that they cannot take English. So ready to pay for a work and take public agency. But see them corporation and them, is real.
So Anderson, what happened to people who are qualified and people who are skilled? Look,
and really want to do the job.
I go mind my business. Thanks, Anderson.
Probably nothing for them.
Thank you,
Anderson. And sometimes it's who you're not doing. Another people are fixed too. It's the principal of our school. A policeman came in and they don't know what school his son was going to. Because the principal is, what? Father-in-law or something. He don't know what school his son was going to. The Anglican board in all schools, the Catholic board, them have picked too. The priest or the dean or whoever they just call them, who just give it the little altar boys on them. Them have picked the Richmond Street boys. Them have picked. The Anglican board have picked. The principal, each principal have 12 picks. 12. And these are the things people need to know what it calls. So some of the people just, you ever see some of them Chinese and see what name in any results say? I show you all about the program, but all your corporation, all the union leaders, what are going pumpkin belly, you know? When people come into all and asking, begging all for their job because they should know the business, they should know the situation, they should know how much sharing they have. You understand? They should know that they don't want the teeth. All the going on them, what the 10 or 15,000. Go smoke all the pipe. All right.
Thank you so much. So Sherilyn Lewis on YouTube is telling me, Aisha Wells, it is true. I know of someone under the UNC time paid $7,000. All right, I'm going to play some voice notes. And somebody just sent me this. We have a message from Tabakit. Demorius Horsley would have sent us a video. Let's take a listen.
Is the plan they call the ratchet. What I would show you is the plan they call the ratchet plant. Now, it considered as a cactus. Now, the fruit it bears is 10 times more powerful and potent than the so-called dragon fruit. As a matter of fact, the ratchet can be used for the entire body. The hair, it can be used internally. You can cook it. The only thing, the little picker on it, you want to be careful. Now, the best kept secret on the ratchet tree is the fruit which it bears, which is the greatest secret. Now, you've been hearing about this so-called dragon fruit. But in truth and frank, the dragon fruit, the properties in it is not potent as the ratchet. I would show you the ratchet very soon. And it's one of the best kept secret for many, many centuries right here in Trinidad. Perhaps a lot of people been seeing the ratchet, you know, producing a flowers, then it turned into a fruit, and people might be wondering whether or not if this thing is poison. No, it is medicinal. It's good for the entire body, and it's time to show you the fruit. Now, this is the fruit here. So what you would do, you would get a little plastic bag. You would pick it. You would put it below the running water. You get a scrubbing brush. You wash it out. You peel it. If you want, you could eat the fruit just like that. What you can do, you can put it in a bottle. You get a couple because it be a lot. You put it into a bottle. You shake it up. You put it in the fridge. And perhaps every other week you drink one glass. And what this fruit will do, it will revitalize this fruit. It will revitalize, it will replenish the body. This fruit is 10 times more stronger, more potent than this so-called dragon fruit that they're telling you. So for those who have any ratchet tree, the fruit, and this, they consider this to be the nopal fruit, if you know about it. So right here, people, you have it in your yard and you didn't know. Look at it. The ratchet, it bears a fruit. It's good for the entire body. Thank you.
So apparently Tabakit is taking over Trevor Sears' job. We don't know. Tabakit is now a herbalist. Be sure to link Tabakit if you want some more information about fruits and plants. We're going to go for a break. We'll be right back. Aye, neighbor.
Millions of dollars going down the drain. I tell you.
These are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
are invited to join Pastors Morris and Agnes Johnson of the Church of the Firstborn Assembly Miracle. You are invited to join Pastors Morris and Agnes Johnson of the Church of the Firstborn Assembly Miracle Center, located at number 399 Eastern Main Road, Guayco in Sangre Grande, for the old-time gospel hour all-night prayer. This and every Friday evening on the Street 919 FM from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Designed with you in mind, this program deals with today's issues from a biblical perspective. You will also be given the opportunity to call in and interact with us. Micah 6:8 says, He hath showed thee, O man, what is good and what doeth the Lord require of thee, but to justly and to love mercy and walk humbly with thy God. Your financial support through the First Citizens Bank will be greatly appreciated. Account number 795222. For further information, call 753-1113 or email us at church668hope@gmail.com.
In Trinidad and Tobago, there are so many things to talk about. Social issues, injustice, child abuse, domestic violence, political scandals, and much more. On HOTP, we will cover all that and much more. Don't forget, you can catch us every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday nights from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Facebook and Instagram. Hot off the press. Hot topics, no filter.
Hot off the press presents Aisha Wells' birthday bash. Come celebrate with Aisha on board the Embassy on August 13th. Boarding at the Hyatt Waterfront from 6:30 p.m. sharp. Featuring an all-star DJ cast. We're gonna have a good time celebrating with Aisha.
You're on board. We're talking about my birthday bash.
For tickets and more information, call Robert at 333-2181. Olu at 730-3665.
It's my birthday. That's what we're talking about. Happy birthday to you.
Hi, I'm Valentine Garcia.
And I'm Nikki Garcia.
Please join us on the Final Hour broadcast every Thursday at 9 a.m. on the Street 919 FM radio.
Every week we will journey into the amazing Word of God. So please join us.
See you then.
Tune into the Street 91.9 FM
Every Sunday from 10:05 a.m. to 11 a.m.
for the Repairing of the Breach radio program with me, Bishop Showinau Thomas.
The scripture says, And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places.
Thou shalt raise up the foundation of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairers of the breach, the restorers of the paths to dwell in.
Don't miss it. Repairing the Breach radio program with Bishop Sherwin R. Thomas on the Street 919 FM every Sunday from 10:05 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Good, that boat like looking like a real bad.
Are you ready for that boat experience again? The Sea Champion and the Embassy say, book with us for that unforgettable boat ride experience. Sea Champion leaving from Kings Wharf, San Fernando, and the Embassy leaving from Breakfast Shed, Port of Spain, or Westside Trinidad. For more information, call 399-5959 to 814723 or email us at coralvisiontT@gmail.com. Book now and reserve your cruise.
Hey, that boat I look like it's on
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
All right, people, we are back. And while we await the arrival of Dr. Livet, let us take a little tune in right now. to the press conference being held
infrastructure in Siparia.
Marvin Gonzalez, Fitzgerald Hines, and the Attorney General in Gonzales.
Pina,
Let's take it in.
Faizabad, Point Fortis Park, Diamondville, St. James, Princestown. All these communities have been impacted by acts of vandalism on WASA's infrastructure. You would have seen in recent times in Bournes Road in St. James, where thieves and disruptors went, cut off cable and copper from distribution lines, leaving hundreds of citizens in Bournes Road and parts of central Trinidad without a reliable supply of water. This situation obviously is one that must be treated seriously. It is criminal in nature. It is intended to cause widespread national chaos and instability. And therefore, the government of Trinidad and Tobago will deal with this as a matter of national security and will respond accordingly.
Thank you very much, colleague. And part of that response is also to take into account that as Minister Gonzalez, on behalf of the government of the Republic and for the benefit of all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, in his attempts to make WASA that important institution which manages this essential service and distributes it in accordance with the Industrial Relations Act. As he seeks to bring greater efficiency and to wipe away any corruption that was quite evident and inefficiencies that were quite evident in the operations of WASA for a long time, there are those in Trinidad and Tobago who prefer to maintain the status quo because they benefit directly and in some cases indirectly from it. The government is not unmindful that in their resistance and their abhorrence of good order and efficiency and no corruption in that state entity and others, there will be pushback. And we in Trinidad and Tobago, truth be told, have had a history in the expression of that kind of pushback to sacrifice you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, by disrupting either the free flow of traffic on the road or disrupting the systems that distribute water and electricity. So we are not unmindful of the great possibility that inside of that which the minister has just explained and all of the public talk about theft of copper, there might be those who may very well use these opportunities to perpetrate more sinister motives against the state for their own limited, perhaps selfish, perhaps even political purposes. So in terms of the government's response, we first decide that this will be treated as a matter of national security. And we have asked the police, led by Mr. Jacob, Mr. MacDonald Jacob, to heighten their focus on these installations in the protection of the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I would like now to invite Mr. Jacob, who will tell us what kind of activity the police found themselves engaged in response to this situation that has been going on for many months now, what the police has been doing in relation to it, and in particular the matter that my colleague spoke about in California, the disruption of one of our booster stations. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Sorry about that.
Views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Are we in?
Dr. Livette. Join him right here on your radio every Friday afternoon from 5:05 p.m. to 5:35 p.m. for your dose of the health and wellness in a program that is sure to change your life. Popular for promoting Livette rather than diet, Dr. Livette has transformed a number of lives nationwide and is now live on the Street 919 FM every Friday from 5:05 p.m. Tune in and also learn about the U-Juice to build your immunities and promote overall great health. Dr. Livette on the Street 919 FM this and every Friday from 5:05 p.m. to 5:35 p.m. It's time that you live.
So much for staying with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. 5 minutes after the hour of 5 o'clock, and Dr. Livette is in the building. Dr. Livette, how are you today?
I'm good, Aisha, and how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for asking.
Nice. You look good.
Nice.
As usual.
Thank you.
Of course, wherever you guys are, it's so great to be here with you in your car, in your home, wherever you are in your office. It's just good to be here, and it's my pleasure to always share the very best information as it pertains to your health and your wellness. And for those of you who don't know who I am, my official name is Uchenna Hackett, and my clients call me Dr. Livette, because we say don't die from the things that you have ate, so don't diet, live at. I just want to shout out some stores, some part of the U-Juice family, Cascade Mini Mart. Of course, you could make sure and go get your U-Juice there, and Cascade Marketplace, KVS, and R&R Budget Drugs. You could go get U-Juice there as well. And of course, we want to promote our promotions that we're having at Anand's tomorrow at Thick Village and Charlie Junction tomorrow. So if you're in that area, you never had U-Juice and want to taste it, of course, we are going to have samplings there at Anand's Thick Village location and Charlie Junction tomorrow. So don't miss that.
Great.
Right. So
where we heading today?
Where we headed, I kind of put together a show that was inspired by emancipation celebrations in Trinidad on Monday, and where we look and try to answer the question of ethnomedicine, and if by your very race you can be more prone to different diseases. And so we're going to explore that today. And but before we get into today's show, of course, we know that the show is sponsored by U-Juice. Get en route to the ultimate U. I brought a U-Juice for you today.
Now go to say like a drink the thing. I know it, and I got my favorite guys. For real. Thank you.
Good. So, sponsored by U-Juice. We know that U-Juice is the best, especially for people with diabetes or need help with the cardiovascular system or for natural energy boost. There's just so many things U-Juice is great for. We also want to announce that we are in all our Super Farm stores, Aisha.
Yes, I realized that this week.
You saw it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Looking good, man. The shelf nice. Congratulations to you, Juice.
Yes. So we there now, and of course we're very happy to have Super Farm as a part of our U-Juice family. And right, so we're talking about ethnomedicine, and just to quote some global observations, scientific observations, and we're looking at blacks in the United States in particular. So high rates of high blood pressure in African Americans may be due to the genetic makeup. This is from a study of people of African descent. Researchers have uncovered some facts. In the US, blacks respond differently to high blood pressure drugs than other groups of people. And the study showed that they actually have more of the harmful or side effects of the drug than other races. Very interesting. And not that you shouldn't take drugs, although I don't promote drugs, but nonetheless, I'm not saying that today on the radio. Blacks in the US also seem to be more sensitive to salt or to sodium, which increases the risk of developing hypertension, of course.
Right.
So therefore, what they are saying is that a white that consumes salt, for whatever reason, the salt does not increase their blood pressure. as much as it does in blacks. So these are just some things to take
into consideration.
Right.
Gotcha.
Then now we have other factors now, because it's never one factor for hypertension, by the way. So the study also looked at environmental factors. So some scientists believe that high blood pressure in African Americans is due to factors unique to the experience of blacks in the U.S., they said. They said that blacks worldwide have rates of high blood pressure that are similar to whites around the world, but in the U.S., they said the difference is dramatic. 41% of blacks have high blood pressure compared to 27% of whites that have high blood pressure. So they said that black people in the U.S. are more likely to also be overweight than blacks in other countries, and some experts think that social and economic factors, including discrimination and economic inequality, are responsible for this difference. Melanin, as it relates to sunlight, and cholesterol is another factor, because the darker your skin is, more melanin, you have more of a protection as a black person from the dangerous rays of the sun.
Okay.
But it also, that's the good part about it now. On the other side of it, this is not a bad part, but just to take note of, a white person just needs to stay 1 hour in the sun to get the same amount of vitamin D that a black person has to spend 4 hours in the sun to get. So that means that black people are more vitamin D deficient. Now, melanin also dictates other things as well, because blacks need higher doses of vitamins and minerals than people of other races too. What I found interesting, I found a study that showed, Aisha, that blacks who had about 40 nanograms per deciliter of vitamin D in their blood had a 40% reduction in their risk of dying from COVID-19. Their white peers who had that amount of vitamin D, it did not have the same effect. And that tells you how important sun is for black people.
Yeah.
On the other side of it, for white people, the sun is very dangerous for them, actually,
Can give them skin
because
cancer.
they have the highest rates of skin cancer in the world.
Yeah.
So yes, based on your race, you may have some things that benefit you because of your race, and you will also have things that may be detrimental to you because of your race. And the important thing to understand is that my phone or yours?
I'm thinking it might be yours. I don't know.
I think I put my phone on silent, and boy, let me
Double
see.
check.
Could be mine. I don't know. Okay. So, right. So these are the things that we have to think about when we talking about diet now. So is there any evidence in our own healthcare system that instructs this type of scenario? Do we have any findings locally that speaks to people dying from different diseases just based on their
ethnicity?
Well, yes, we do. The highest incidence, this information is from the Tobago Regional Health Authority and the Northwest Regional Health Authority, looking at cancer, right?
Okay.
So the highest incidence and mortality rates were observed for cancers related to, this is among the population of Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
The highest incidence, which means people who have it, and mortality, meaning people who would die from it, were observed for cancers related to reproductive organs in women, namely breast, cervical, and uterine cancers, and prostate, lung, and colorectal cancers among men. Average incident rates were highest in areas covered by the Tobago Regional Health Authority, which would be 188 per 100,000, while average mortality rates were highest in areas covered by Northwest Regional Authority, which is 108 per 100,000. Nationals of African ancestry exhibited the highest rates of the incidence of cancer. 243 per 100,000. This is the incidence, again, those who they diagnosed with it. And then the mortality, meaning again those who died from it, is 156 per 100,000. So those who had it was 2 who were diagnosed as 243, and those who died was 156 per 100,000 persons, compared to their counterparts who were East Indians, and the East Indians had 125 per 100,000. From 243 East Indians and Africans, East Indians were 125, Aisha, per 100,000. And then those who died of East Indian descent were 66 per 100,000 versus 156 per 100,000 for Africans. I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. And the interesting thing, though, if you're mixed, the incidence is even lower. So the incidence of mixed race people is 119 per 100,000 versus when we look at people who are of East Indian descent, they were 125 per 100,000. And then those who died from cancer was the exact same death rate of mixed race people as it were East Indians, which is 66 per 100,000. So that's one argument for douglarization. Somehow.
Douglarize the place.
Yeah, somehow.
Somehow it works.
Somehow it helped, yeah, somehow. But I want to make a point, though, about diet now. So remember that Indians, they traditionally eat a lot of spices like turmeric and cardamom and, you know, cumin and, yeah. So the whole diet was always based on heavy on these, and these spices are very, very beneficial to your health. So maybe, I can't put
your finger on it,
no,
but maybe.
But maybe that practice of eating your food with that many herbs in it had that effect, because we know for sure that curcumin is anti-cancer, which is turmeric, right? We know that. We know that cinnamon is anti-cancer, which they have a lot of cinnamon, especially in traditional Indian foods now.
Okay.
Right? Africans are not necessarily backward because we use spices too. In fact, the tradition of making sorrel, which is your favorite flavor, Aisha, dates back to Nigeria, and the drink in Nigeria is called zobo, and it's essentially it was where everywhere in the Caribbean you go, you're going to find that sorrel drink. And you may wonder, how come everybody know how to make their drink with spices in it?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Right, that came straight from the motherland. And so Africans do have that tradition. And by the way, in Africa, which I don't have these stats to compare the exact number, but we know that compared to Africans in Africa, to Trinidad, for example, they have far less rates of prostate cancer, far less rates of heart disease, far lower than us. And again, they kind of stayed eating their traditional foods.
Yeah.
And the moral of the story is that when you evolve for thousands of years eating whatever is native to you, your body becomes very much attuned to that. Because the ancient Africans ate maca, for example, they ate okra, they ate sorrel, came from Africa. So a lot of things that we still have here without us knowing is that directly linked to Africa. Cassava is a big African staple.
Yeah.
And Africans traditionally eat a lot of fish, even though they hunted and they ate animals as well, but they ate a lot of fish. In fact, in the U.S., even though black Americans there may not necessarily, well, I shouldn't say that, but they still consume the most amount of fish in the U.S. per their population than any other race, because traditionally speaking, they ate in that way. So yes,
I think some of our foreparents, they would have, even when they came to the Caribbean, kept their tradition of blue food and ground food, a lot of fish and that type of thing. Over the years, it would have changed, as the generation got older, their taste buds changed. And then there's a lot of, Western influence that stepped in with fast foods and all these different things. But if you look at some of our grandparents, they lived to 90 and 95 and 80-something years old. And now you're seeing younger and younger people dying from cancer.
Yeah, I have seen in my office girls in their 20s with cervical cancer.
Yeah, I had a friend who passed away in her 30s from breast cancer, and they don't give her mammogram till you're 40, so there's no way she would have known, you know?
Yeah. So unfortunately, guys, we see this happening more and more now.
Yeah.
And becoming, it makes sense now, even in your 20s, to start consuming more foods that are anti-cancer. So, like, again, in our You-Juice Ginger line, we have curcumin, which is based on many studies, very powerful in terms of its anti-cancer potentials. Astaxanthin is nature's most powerful antioxidant, again, is anti-cancer. You have a lot of spices in You-Juice that also bay leaf and clove and cinnamon and, you know, all the things that, all the type of spices that you need to have. Also, it's ginger. We know ginger is very powerful as an antioxidant and very powerful as an anti-cancer. So we need to consume stuff every day. It has vitamin D. One study showed that if your vitamin D is 50%, regardless of your race, it does reduce your risk of cancer by 50%. And it reduces risk of cardiovascular events by 50%. A lot of people have blood clots and they have strokes, Aisha. And one of the things that great about this You-Juice Ginger Lime in particular is that it has curcumin, which is anti-clotting. So it helps to prevent those eventualities by having a You-Juice that is very, very powerful for you guys to use on a daily basis. I highly recommend that you do come to the Livette Wellness Center, do your holistic health assessment. We do particular blood works as well that will tell us your risks, your clotting factors like fibrinogen, which is a blood marker that talks about the glue in your blood, right? So the glue, like your platelets, if you look at your your CBC, platelets is the glue. So if you get cut, Aisha, it stops it sticks and keeps the blood from flowing and we just die, right? But if you have too much glue or fibrinogen or platelets, these are the factors that could, in fact, and again, even in young people, we see it very high. So we look at those clotting factors, we look at how high your inflammation levels are in your blood, and we can tell you very clearly where your health is at and what herbs or what treatments we can use to reduce your clinical findings that most other naturopathic doctors don't do enough of. They don't really analyze the blood work, and there's no replacement for blood work. So I want to encourage you guys to come and do your blood work. Check on yourself. Don't wait and feel, well, I'm young and nothing will happen, because we're not in that rule anymore. Young people, you know, I saw a 21-year-old this week who could not walk to come in the office. She had arthritis, debilitating, and hypertension at 21. Somebody else's son, 17 years old, has hypertension at 17. I don't know.
You're meeting younger and younger people, young kids with diabetes and type 1 and type 2 and things that children would normally have.
Yeah.
So that's important. We're almost to half past the hour of 5 o'clock. So if there are some points you want us to focus on, let's head there.
Well, I want to again to remind you guys that yes, from a genetic perspective, just to recap, that we do have differences. The Trini diet, for some reason, is the most destructive for black people. So for whatever the reason.
Macaroni pie.
Right, yeah, it's the most destructive. It's the most destructive. So we have to change that. In the US, they call it soul food. And somebody say that's the food that will make you meet your soul too quickly. we cannot mimic any soul food with the, greasy foods on the weekends and just meat every day. My grandmother had meat once a week, So we kind of have to go back. If you really have to eat meat, and I don't recommend it.
And
but
they eating it in breakfast.
3 times a day, 3 times a day. And they're frying everything.
Dinner.
Frying everything. Bacon, eggs, everything fried.
Everything.
Fried foods will kill your heart. It will, it's just not a good idea. So we do have a special for this month of August. Of course, we have $100 off the holistic health assessment. So please call and book. Numbers to call 355-7801. That number again is 355-7801. And to order a case of U-Juice, you can order online or order by phone and save. You can call 222-6742. That number again is 222-6742. Call and you can order as well. U-Juice is available at every supermarket, all the major supermarkets, everywhere in the country you turn. These days you'll find a U-Juice. So it's not hard to say, let me dedicate myself to drinking a U-Juice a day, because everything in there is going to help you in so many ways.
In so many different ways.
I could talk about members for the next 50 shows. There's just so much goodness in a bottle of U-Juice. So
I would imagine.
We have any comments or any questions? I know the time is almost up anyway, but
well, we're gonna check. Feel free to call us. Dr. Livet has a few minutes. He can definitely take some calls from you. Melly Matthew says she loves macaroni pie. Melly, I do too. But Gil, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? We can't get it every Sunday, Melly. Yeah. All right, nothing yet. Go ahead, Dr. Livet.
All right. So we also have, of course, at the Wellness Center, we have colon hydrotherapy for people who are constipated. It's a lifesaver, especially for people who are very constipated and can't go off at all, which is a very nightmarish situation to be in. Colon hydrotherapy is a lifesaver. It's great just for a gentle detox of the colon as well.
Call on the line. Caller?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, so you and, what's his name?
Dr. Livet.
Dr. Livet. All I want to say is this. Nothing dead can give you life.
Very good point. I agree.
Nothing dead that can give you life. You eat dead meat, you can't get no life from it. The fruit and vegetables, they are living things. They don't kill a tree to pick a fruit. They don't kill a okra tree to eat a okra. It's a living thing. When you dig vegetables, you plant it over, it's living. But dead meat, it's poisoning system inside. That's all I want to say. Have a good evening.
Yes, yes. Good.
Thank
That's
you so
a
much.
very good point.
We have another one. Caller, you live?
Hi, I said good day and good day to Dr. Livet.
Hello.
Yes, good day.
I just appealing to Dr. Livet. Uncle Bedo's supermarket. The U-Juice is finished too fast.
Send more by Uncle
then it is finished so fast. I love the passion fruit flavor.
Yeah.
But when this thing is finished like that, you need to stock up there well. But a little bit.
Stock up, Uncle Bedo. Thank you so much for the information. Let's see who's there. Caller, you live?
Yeah, good. Everybody, good afternoon. Nice show going on.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's how U-Juice is a miracle. And do stop. You understand? Because we're talking is very serious. Because cancer is on the rise. And the younger people, they're getting sick faster than the older ones of them. That's why I was saying, the young ones fall off the tree and the old ones are still hanging on. So we have to drive research to find out what is the problem and what kills off the generation. Have a nice day.
Yes, thanks for your contribution. Thank you.
Excellent indeed, Dr. Livet. We have about 2 more minutes.
All right. So, again, I just want to recap the numbers. The numbers to call to book your holistic health assessment would be 355-7801. You can also visit our website at livethealth.com, Livet health.com. You can actually book online for all the services. And you can order online on our website at ujuiceroots.com. ujuiceroots.com. You can order online there as well and get free delivery, by the way, of a case or half case of U-Juice. In most areas, the delivery is free. The delivery is free, not every area, right? So, well, Aisha, it's good to be here with you guys. Sorry I have to go. The time goes so quickly. I will be here next Friday. But until then, you all have a great weekend and be safe and eat healthy and live mighty. Live healthy.
Live it.
DAG started a drive to stop corruption. Yeah. All them wheeling and dealing big shots was in confusion. Whoa. They threatened to kill, but they keep.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Dr. Livette. Join him right here on your radio every Friday afternoon from 5:05 p.m. to 5:35 p.m. for your dose of the health and wellness in a program that is sure to change your life. Popular for promoting Livette rather than diet, Dr. Livette has transformed a number of lives nationwide and is now live on the Street 919 FM every Friday from 5:05 p.m. Tune in and also learn about the U-Juice to build your immunities and promote overall great health. Dr. Livette on the Street 919 FM this and every Friday from 5:05 p.m. to 5:35 p.m. It's time that you live.
All right, so let's try to get back the press conference. We paused it, so let's go back and take it in.
Also, Minister Gonzalez, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is really and truly taken aback from what is happening in relation to the number of reports concerning the stealing of cable, the copper, and also
hold on, let me try to pull back that live. How that live go do, my dad? The live just stayed just so an end?
Fall off.
No, it didn't fall off. It end. All right, so let's come back to it. We want to get in here, come in here, come so. Hold on.
in restoration work.
Against the state for their own limited, perhaps, in the protection of the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I would like now to invite Mr. Jacob, who will tell us what kind of activity the police found themselves engaged in response to this situation that has been going on for many months now, what the police has been doing in relation to it, and in particular the matter that my colleague spoke about in California, the disruption of one of our booster stations. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Sorry about that.
Again, good afternoon to all. Thank you very much, Minister, and also Minister Gonzalez. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is really and truly taken aback from what is happening in relation to the number of reports concerning the stealing of cable, the copper, and also what we look at the malicious damage that is occurring at these various installations. For the past 2.5 years, we investigated 192 such reports. In fact, 139 persons were arrested and charged. And out of that, 2 dealers, scrapyard dealers, one in Trinidad and one in Tobago, was in fact charged. But the acts continue. And that is the reason why we strongly believe that it is beyond the question of just larceny. Last weekend, I visited the crime scene at Cross Crossing in San Fernando at the TSTT location. And what I saw there was beyond theft. I saw that the copper wire was in fact cut out and removed, but also all the fiber optic cables were also cut and just was left on the ground. My officers also report similar incidents at different locations. So it moved from just larceny to malicious damaging the police terms, where persons are maliciously damaging these particular installations. The police service last weekend had no alternative but to call out additional officers to work additional hours in the southern and southwestern divisions because of that communication situation that occurred, whereby those copper wires and fiber optic cable being cut and removed created a significant security risk for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago if they wish to communicate with the police. In fact, we had to implement an emergency plan to deal with the situation as it relates to those two divisions, and additional officers were called out. We have not yet done a course analysis, as Mr. Gonzalez spoke about earlier, that he worked out the actual course. We can also work out the actual course of what it is costing us when we have to investigate and implement our emergency plans. As it relates to the incident in Couva, California, Phoenix Park, that reporters meet us, and the senior superintendent, he has in fact appointed a team of investigators to investigate the matter. When he spoke to me and he told me what the investigators saw, they have the strong opinion that definitely it is beyond the question of just larceny. It is definitely, as I said in the police term, malicious damage. We have not yet gotten the cause of the malicious damage from the authorities, but I know that we will get it soon. But now we are going beyond that. When these installations are affected, it creates a lot of difficulty for the police in policing the various areas, because when our citizens are out of water, out of communication, again, some persons may choose to use different means by protests, demonstrations, because they are out of water, and the police again need to act. We have viewed this situation as definitely a security risk for Trinidad and Tobago, which is affecting the national security network. And we firmly believe at this stage, with the consent of the Minister of National Security, we have decided to offer a reward of 100,000 for information that can lead to the arrest and prosecution of the persons who are responsible. We will be utilizing initially our initial numbers of 555 and 800 tips, and we will be doing a release with some other numbers that can be utilized in this regard. I wish to reinforce the point that what is happening is no benefit to our citizens in Trinidad and Tobago, and it is posing a security risk. We, the police, will in fact implement additional measures and will be paying attention to all these various installations to ensure that our tranquil living in Trinidad and Tobago is not interrupted. Again, Minister, thank you very much as we look forward to deal with this scourge that is existing in Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Jacob. Ladies and gentlemen, the police has found that from the evidence available to them that it appears to be a little more than mere larceny. The Malicious Damage Act, since you mentioned it, Commissioner, in Section 21, speaks specifically, that particular section, about waterworks and WASA's facilities. So I do hope that the citizens of this country, in their own interest, because every time you can't get water, you can't communicate. I mean, for days last week we'll be having problem even with our internet communication. They're cutting these fiber cables and just leaving it there. So we would like the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, the end users, who are the ones who will more directly suffer as a result of this horrendous, selfish, sickening, malicious, and probably more kind of behavior, to speak up to law enforcement. We have asked the Defense Force to heighten patrols around the facilities, communications facilities, and our waterworks as well, to keep watch. And we ask the citizens to reach out and touch that very generous reward of 100,000. It could go a long way, but longer still, it would put some of the criminals where they ought to be, and it will ensure with their absence that your communication and your water service is not troubled. And since I was talking about the Malicious Damage Act, and I did speak earlier about the Industrial Relations Act, we are not unaware that in the middle of all the protestation about what is happening in WASA, people might want to behave in a certain way. The Industrial Relations Act will be brought to bear in its full force and glory. And then, of course, at the higher extreme, where the threshold is a lot higher and the standard that is required to prove it is even more, there's the Anti-Terrorism Act in Trinidad and Tobago, where if it could be shown that that kind of action has political motivations, I am sure the Police Commissioner Jacob will pay close attention to its application where appropriate. But the government, only Thursday, sitting in the cabinet, my colleague and I, we would have been dealing with an attempt by the government of Trinidad and Tobago to deal with this problem. And so, the Prime Minister had publicly asked the Attorney General to contemplate and formulate proposals to stem this dangerous activity that has now found itself inside of the scrap metal trade. Because those who are in the scrap metal trade have explained painstakingly, we have an industry here, we have a business here, but there are criminals who are causing us stress. And we are prepared to regulate our affairs, and we are prepared to give information to law enforcement so that our industry will remain untouched and the criminals will be found. And we salute that. But in the meantime, the government had to act. So the Prime Minister asked, on behalf of his entire government, and the Attorney General, in fact, first of all, the Prime Minister put a committee with the Attorney General, a sub-cabinet committee, the Attorney General, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Paula Gopi-Schoon, the Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Mr. Stuart Young, and yours truly as Minister of National Security. And we put our heads together on behalf of the government and for the benefit of the people of this country. And the Attorney General took a note to Cabinet last Thursday, which has been sent to the Finance and General Purposes Subcommittee of the Cabinet for its urgent consideration. And we expect by Monday, as we meet in Finance and General Purposes Committee, we will tidy up any issues that would arise out of these measures to deal with this problem. So let me tell you quickly what these measures are. One, the preparation of the prohibition, carriage, coastwise, importation and exportation Amendment Order 2022, pursuant to Section 44 of the Customs Act, Chapter 7801. 2, the making of the order by, under the hand of the Secretary to Cabinet, in respect of what I have just said. 3, the preparation of an amendment to the export negative list order made pursuant to the imports and export control regulations of the Trade Ordinance number 19 of 1958. And finally, 4, the urgent preparation of draft regulations in relation to the regulation, monitoring and enforcement of responsible practices within the old metals industry, including the preparation of draft orders under the hand of the Minister of Trade and Industry to permit that the items under ferrous waste and scrap be added to the export negative list, which will now require a license from the Minister of Trade and Industry in order for these items to be exported. Quite a mouthful for lawyers and lawmakers, as we parliamentarians are. In short, this is saying that it will permit the Minister of Trade and Industry to make regulations to regulate those affairs, and more importantly, to amend the export list to add these metals, so that in order to export them, you will have to obtain first a license in the context of that regulation. Effectively, the government is proposing a 6-month ban on the exportation of old and scrap iron, including copper, including people gate, including the covers on the drains and manholes around the place, including the barriers along the highway that have been put there to ensure that if a car loses control, it doesn't go over onto the other lane and cause mayhem and and damage to other users of the road. I can tell you, as Minister of National Security, even those involved in energy in this country, drilling, production of oil and gas, they too have suffered as a result of this madness taking place in our land. So on your behalf, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we, the government, courageous as ever, doing what has to be done at all costs, the proposal in front of the cabinet now is to ban the exportation for 6 months, during which time the Minister of Trade and Industry will make regulations to more effectively manage this industry and the activity that we now complain of. And finally, Sir Jacob didn't say it, but I will. The intelligence agencies of this country have been paying close attention to some of the deliberations that are taking place in public spaces and public offices. And as a consequence, the police, supported by the defense force, supported by such intelligence, are very mindful of some of the plots that are taking place. That incident in California yesterday coincide with plots that the intelligence agencies are paying attention to. So we urge the citizens of this country, whatever your cause, whatever your motivations, however you feel, you don't have to go there. Come down from there. There are always opportunities, whether it is through the courts or otherwise, to resolve your grievances. But if you choose to resort to disrupting our communications networks and our water distribution networks to suffer the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we are sworn to protect against it. And the police service is even more deeply entrenched as the law enforcement agency, along with the defense force and other arms of national security, to treat with the issues. And again, as I conclude, I ask the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, these things are not happening in the sky, they are happening right here on Jah Earth. So if you see them, call the numbers Mr. Jacob have shared. You could become $100,000 better off tomorrow. And of course, at the same time, you would have made a serious citizen's contribution to the stability and the maintenance of law and order and the good governance and the peace and serenity, as he described it, of this land, our beautiful Trinidad and Tobago. We are now open to any questions you, the members of the media, would have on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago in relation to the matters that we have just raised. I thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen of the Newsday. Starting off with you, Minister Hines. You made mention at the end there of a plot that the intelligence agencies would have uncovered. This plot, is there any political ingredients?
I'm unable to say. What I could tell you is that I received a call this morning from someone, a communication, that told me certain things. I am unable to say.
Apart from that, could you elaborate a bit more on these, or this plot? I don't know if it's one or many plots. Elaborate just a bit more without going into national security issues.
I would hardly know all of them. I'm not there. I don't work in the intelligence industry. But what I do know, criminal activity is taking place. Criminal minds are at work. And therefore there's always plotting and planning. And the intelligence agencies, their business is to unearth these plots and these plans in the protection of you, Jensen Lavin, and all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Don't forget, you know, you may not have been around or maybe too immature to recall, but I recall on one occasion at the Trinidad Hilton, we had cricketers here, I think, from one visiting team, and we had a serious problem up there in the context of industrial turmoil in this country. And we've seen many other examples of it. So in this context, all things are possible. And it is the job of the intelligence agencies who are sworn and paid to get to the bottom of those and share them with the law enforcement platform to protect you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
On that issue of protection, the question will be asked, why then didn't the security agencies, rather than allow what happened yesterday, prevent it by sharing information?
I think that's easy to understand and easy to say. I can tell you, I don't know if Mr. Jacob mentioned it, I am aware. In fact, I think he said it, that within recent times the police have heightened their activity. They have gone to some of these facilities, they do patrols around there, there are some private security elements. But the truth of the matter is the police cannot be everywhere.
Any plans?
And we have now asked the Defense Force, I can tell you, collaboration is taking place between all stakeholders so that we can better manage this situation.
Now, I know you said there will be increased patrols.
There have been, and there will continue to be, from what I have been advised by the Commissioner, who you can direct your questions to. He's better able to answer those than I.
Well, this question is whether or not the government will be looking at private security for these compounds, because TTPS is already spread thin. Is the government considering that?
I don't know if there's anything to consider per se, because there are private security entities operating across Trinidad and Tobago as we speak, but this activity is taking place. So the police, on behalf of all of us, have heightened the activity in order to deal with this, and they would best know how.
Well, you mentioned the banning of the industry for 6 months.
the exportation of those metals.
When will that come into effect?
Well, the matter, as I indicated a moment ago, is before the cabinet, and when the cabinet settles on it, it is only then I'd be able to answer your question. But I only wanted you and the people of Trinidad and Tobago to know that the matter is so grave, so serious, so urgent. The Prime Minister instructed the Attorney General, and to his credit, the Attorney General promptly drafted this cabinet note. It is now before us. Again, we don't do things on the hoof. It is considered by another subcommittee of the cabinet called FNGP. We will go through it a lot more thoroughly, and I'm confident that by Monday, FNGP would indicate to the cabinet for cabinet's consideration shortly what its recommendations are. And if accepted by the cabinet, it is then that the order that it seeks to put in place will be put in place.
And when did the subcommittee meet with the Scrap Iron Dealers Association to discuss this?
We met with them, I think, about 2 weeks ago. The exact date, so much is happening, Mr. Levi. I can't tell you the exact date, but I can tell you within the last, about 2 weeks ago, we met and we listened to what they had to say, the subcommittee of which I spoke, and we took on board their considerations, and now the cabinet is considering this matter. That's after reading a lot about it in your papers too, and after hearing a lot of people complain about losing the gate and losing everything, and videos all over the place, like the one of yesterday. So the government is a listening government. We hear, we look, we listen, we see, we learn, and we act.
Speaking of listening and learning, how many people will be affected when this, and I'm saying when, this comes into effect?
I'm unable to say, but I did indicate to you there is a scrap iron industry, and the leader of that scrap, what's his name?
Alan Ferguson.
Mr. Ferguson has been screaming from the top of his lungs about how this nasty activity has been affecting his bona fide.
This is TV6 News on the spot.
All right, guys, we have to go. It is 6 o'clock and it is Friday, and you know we leave early on a Friday. So when we come in early next week, or if we have time, we can do it tomorrow on Hot Off the Press. We're going to discuss all that we've heard at the press conference today. Imagine police, Eric, has to guard WASA substations, TSTT substations as well, because last week the entire TSTT network was knocked out because of the scrap iron dealership.
That it have a scenario took place in a police district about 3 days ago. Right? So it is becoming a nuisance in a nutshell, to say that, to see you put in not only the citizens at the rest, but the utilities as well. Look, the day when they took the internet, it's some cable they went underground and cut, and thought it was the fiber cable that they thought was the cable that was thief from for the copper, and put all the citizens under duress for internet. So, Aisha, it had to, something have to get done. Something has to give. Yeah, it have to be good. Have to. And people want to blame the government and blame everybody else other than they self. People.
It's sad. We got to get it together. Yep. So, my goodly people, this is where we're going to leave it for today until tomorrow on Hot Off the Press.
And then Sunday evening, and then back out.
Back out to the radio on Monday.
And don't forget, guys, next week, Saturday.
Next week, it's going down. It's my birthday.
At the
Know.
embassy.
Don't hurt your head.
All right.
We outside.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.